right, welcome back to Sports Desk. We've got some disturbing news out of the Dominican Republic. Multiple reports saying David Ortiz shot there while out at night. Looked like he was at a restaurant. ESPN reporting he was shot in the lower back. We're still waiting on an update on his condition. Back out live here on the Sports Desk. Craig Mish joining the show. Craig, what's the latest we've heard here? I know you run in baseball circles.
Yeah, well, Mike, at this point, the news is good. Doctors have come out and basically said at this point it looks like that he's in stable condition. And so obviously our thoughts and prayers are with David Ortiz for sure. Mike, as you know, he lives in South Florida and spends a lot of time here. His wife is here as well, and I know that she got the news. So, hopefully a swift recovery for David Ortiz, but the good news is it looks like stable condition for him.
Absolutely. We hope the best there. All right, now switching over to the Marlins. It was bark at the park. Certainly felt like a dog day afternoon down in Little Havana. Austin Dean leading off the first for the Fish, going opposite field for his second homer of the year. 3 RBI for him today. Now, it was 5-1 in the ninth. That's where Sergio Romo ran into issues. He balked in a run. Then with 2 on, Ronald Cugno Jr. sends this game to extras, finding the Clevelander out in the left. We'd go all the way to the 12th, tied at 6, go ahead, run at third, and all Matt Joyce had to do was put the ball in play. He did just that. His single spoils what should have been a Marlins win. And, coming back from that road trip, Miami went 4-2 on the 6-game road trip. You come back, you think, you know what, we've got 9 at home. We can really build on something here. I think they left something like 16 men on base these last 2 games. Was this the offense reverting back to what they were before?
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, Mike, is that when you play at Marlins Park, you're not playing in the friendly confines like you are in Milwaukee and some of these other parks around the big leagues. And obviously Jose Urena, the first game in this series, didn't do the Marlins any favors. And he had 7 really good starts in a row, but he couldn't get anybody out in Atlanta on Friday night. And so I think that's kind of the issue with the Marlins, is that they're going to be sporadic in terms of offense. Their pitching has been really good for the most part. And then we saw the meltdown today with Sergio Romo. Honestly, Romo had been pretty good over the last month, but they're probably going to try and move him, Mike, at some point in July. He's going to have to pitch better for them to get something back in return.
Yeah, Trevor Richards yesterday, great outing, took a no-hitter in the 6th, and they lose that. Those are games you got to have. All right, switching over to the draft. A lot of buzz around Major League Baseball saying, hey, you know what? Derek Jeter, Mike Hill, the Marlins look like they know what they're doing in the draft, drafting J.J. Bleday, an outfielder from Vanderbilt, Cameron Meisner, another outfielder from Missouri. It looks like they like the SEC. They like these guys with experience. How did this draft grade out for the Fish?
Yeah, first of all, let's give credit to DJ Svilik, who the Marlins brought in to be their amateur scouting director. And it looks like in his first year running this, the Marlins may have had a top 5 draft class, which is really amazing if you consider over the last few years how they have struggled. But there's no doubt that once Bleday gets done in the College World Series, they'll be able to sign him. Hopefully they'll get Meisner under contract soon. And, of course, when you look at Nasim Nunez, this is probably the best defensive infielder in the entire draft out of high school. So if they can get his bat going a little bit, Mike, they'll be in really good shape.
Now, you broke some news this week as well with his signing, I think, $2.2 million. Now, Bleday, Meisner obviously aren't signed, but good to see this guy get locked up.
Yeah, and they went over the slot there by about $600,000, and that's another good sign for Miami, is the Marlins are now willing to pay their draft picks above what they're supposed to be paid. They can go up to 5% without having any kind of penalty. So I think there will be other players in this draft that they'll go above too. But obviously giving Nunez extra money means that he won't go to college and he'll be a Marlin starting next year.
Real quick, yes or no? I've seen some people joke that maybe these prospects may be the best Marlins prospects in their system now. Is that true?
Offensively, I think there's a chance of that, especially with Bleday and Meisner's a little bit more of a project. But also the 2 kids who they took from Wright State, one named Burdick, one named Orr, 2 outfielders, one with a little pop, one with a little speed. I think you're going to see a lot of these kids up north in Jupiter next year.
Okay, we'll see what happens there. All right, Caleb Smith injured this week. Miami's rotation, basically that starting 5 had gone the longest in the bigs without getting hurt, but Caleb Smith injured. How long is he going to be out?
Yeah, it looks like just 10 days. He has a lower issue. They say it's the hip. But from what I'm told, also it could be a little bit of a groin issue. But Mike, look, he didn't throw a lot of innings last year because he missed half the season. My guess is you'll see him back either sometime at the end of next week or the week after that. They'll have a spot start coming up here on Tuesday. Smith still has an opportunity, I think, to have a great season.
All right, coming up is the MLB All-Star in, what, month and a half, something like that?
We're almost there, about a month away.
Miami's got to have one. Every MLB team has one, correct? Is Jorge Alfaro going to be that guy, ironically enough?
Boy, I'll tell you, a really good question, because Caleb Smith would have been that guy. With him being out, Mike, in the All-Star game a month away, he still has an opportunity to be there. So does Trevor Richards. But wouldn't it be something if Jorge Alfaro, the guy that they got in the trade for JT Realmuto, ended up potentially bumping Realmuto from the game? I mean, the Marlins don't have a lot of options right now for the All-Star game. He could be the guy.
They don't, and their numbers are so similar. It'd be, you know what, winning these trades would start to feel good. We don't know if they've won it overall yet, but you know that's a good first step. Okay, coming up next, we have a winner at the French Open, but do we have a new Stanley Cup champion? Highlights of Game 6 are next. Plus, before we get to what's trending, make sure you use the restroom. I'm looking at you, Paul Pierce. We'll be right back.